Awesome. Awesome, awesome.
Here's the camera at.
Right back here.
No, I mean, it should be in the corner.
Do you have to, yeah, there we go.
Oh, there we go. Nice. What's up, Bob?
Jeremy. How we doing?
Good. Alrighty.
Yeah,
We
you got it.
are good to go, Jeremy.
You have a very.
I was just here watching.
I think it's, you use the arrows.
He asked me where the camera was. I said,
Oh, just hit the arrow.
Yeah, on the key, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. That's running up there, showing it's recording the video.
Dave,
You're
you're
gonna
getting,
log on, make sure it's.
It's good. I logged in.
Oh,
you're
okay.
getting, you're getting too good at this.
When
Dave.
I first logged in, there was no, we couldn't see the room.
Yeah, I knew that, and then I'm like, and then I found one.
I saw you messing with it.
Yeah.
I heard Bob assist.
Oh, we got like 8 minutes. Here. Wow, I'm early. Holy cow.
10 o'clock. No, no,
Hey, Meg, why did that pop up by itself? I didn't touch it. I was walking out and it did that by itself. I didn't touch anything. Jeremy didn't touch it either, just.
I thought,
What? All I did was hit the arrow key,
oh,
like you told me to do.
I'm not sure. Did you log in out front?
No, I didn't. I was just about to walk out and it did that. It's not becoming sentient.
really? That's $20.
Showing up for Jeremy, huh?
Oh, yeah.
I have this number of Asian Gavin. Nice to meet you, Gavin.
Oh, it's a nice temperature in here.
Let's learn.
Hi.
Good temperature.
You get the pleasure of all of us today.
Good deal.
I'm gonna sit on the end because
We're running out of seats.
Come on.
We're not running out of seats.
No more shares.
Oh, thanks, Bob. Yep. I'll slide down.
Awesome.
What's
poor
happening?
Bob always picks to sit outside our team suite. I'm sure you hear
Quite a lot of-
quite a lot of,
stuff.
yeah, interesting stuff.
And I take it all in.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
Do you want to hit a recording?
Oh, my. I would be mortified.
Bob, I love your dedication. You're always in all these.
Yes.
No, I got it set up, but like,
Share, do you want your,
We'll share.
they won't let me log in.
are you joining us, Dave?
No, I'm just taking attendance.
Oh.
3 or 4
I have to put it on the screen.
They scheduled it for me, but they won't let me create an account. I have to call again.
What's going on?
TSI won't let me schedule my test.
Do it online.
They won't let me create an account.
I had a lot of issues with mine.
I like can't even understand the person in customer support, so.
What?
Oh, yeah.
who is that?
Oh,
Kids get those.
Are you gonna do it online or in person?
Online.
You can take a test on that. Really?
the, just to pass the classes, right?
No, the real estate, yeah.
The state test, they allow that?
Mhm.
Oh, my gosh.
But you have to get a proctor.
Yeah, it is. probably
Yeah,
online.
yeah, maybe, yeah. Oh, my.
I took mine in person.
Yeah,
Bob, I'm sure you took yours online.
I took mine in person. I went out.
Yeah, up
They-
in Harrisburg.
Yeah, they didn't allow it. You know, you had to, that was, you know, like you walk in and then you have to go through this other set of doors.
Wait, can you take the final exam online?
Yeah, he said it is.
What? I had to go to Harrisburg too.
Yeah, yeah. Nice.
That was a shitty drive, man.
Yeah.
It's a haircut.
Yeah.
Oh, I did it like 4 times since I failed my test.
I did it 3 times.
Well, that's sick. You can cheat now.
I can do it.
It's
No,
proctored.
you can't.
I
It's
heard- yo.
proctored. I did it. I finally passed it.
Now we know where your morals stand, you piece of shit.
You ain't gonna use it.
You're a piece of shit. I see where you are now.
It's hard to cheat.
I learned more in a week being here than I learned in
Yeah.
my
If
entire
there was a
real estate
button,
class
by the
and
time
being
you
in business
pressed it,
college.
You
killed
won't learn
someone.
anything.
But you got $5 million. Should you press it?
If I what?
If there was a button, right every time you press it, you got some random African or.
I
Can
never
people
knew that.
hear, wait, can
Yeah.
people hear us
Then-
right now? Megan? Can you hear us?
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I was on mute, but I can hear you.
$5 million. What would you do? What would you do? You press it?
Yeah, of course.
Are
Wow,
you controlling it through yours?
Yes.
Where's the computer? I don't even know.
No, there's a keyboard at the front Jeremy will
Okay.
use to push the arrows.
Nobody's even in there.
If you need help with this, let me know.
It's usually
If you need help, let me
like-
know.
You should just need to push the right and left arrows or up and down. It'll move through all the slides.
Remember, get the listing. Step 1,
Oh,
get the
my.
listing, Bob. Step 1, getting the FISBO, get the listing.
My first listing was one of those.
Oh, really?
Really? That's awesome.
I
Oh,
heard a
sure.
few people. Wasn't yours the FISBO?
Yeah.
Your first one, Jeremy?
No, it wasn't my first listing, but it was like my third.
Oh, okay.
They should say that's how you did a lot of your business your first year.
This guys?
Well, if you guys go to lunch, enjoy lunch.
Process.
I'll see you guys on Monday.
I wanted to try
Have
and
fun,
full
Lindsay.
chrome
Thank
wholesale,
you.
But I don't have that reach. There's like 16 off or something.
Wow. And it's still for sale.
I'm probably just gonna take as much as I can. Still on the board. Who is this? So Eric's just like supplies her. Yeah.
They're out of Hanover.
Yeah, like. imagine the entire- the entire thing.
Bob, have you been doing all of these classes?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Have you found them to be beneficial?
yeah, it's actually, I've learned some things in, every class, and
Yeah.
just, I will admit, I haven't been doing the 3 hours a day. But
Is this
it just,
Pennsylvania?
it's enough to get me to, realize what I'm doing, get myself organized. Yeah.
Hanover's pretty good, right? Hanover's pretty good.
All right, so I'm gonna go through this the way they have it on the screen and in the book, and then at the end, if you guys have questions about how we handle it, how we handle for sale by owners and expires as a team, I can go through that too. Bob, you said you've been going through these pretty much every time we're having them. So a lot of this stuff in the beginning is going to be familiar to you.
Yep, and it's all been low key. It just, you know.
So first I'll give you an introduction, tell you a little bit about myself, talk about who for sale by owners and expires are, talk about a limiting belief around them, the opportunity that presents itself with them, and then the steps for working them, and then putting it all together at the end. Okay. So Bob, you guys all know me. Gavin, you just met me. I don't know, do we have anyone else on Zoom? I don't think it was just Megan.
So you're teaching your team.
I'm teaching my team.
And-
today.
All right, there you go.
And
Yeah.
Bob.
And Bob,
And
yeah,
Bob.
all right. So you guys have been trained on this, but Gavin, you know a little bit about me. I've been in real estate for 3 years. Started a team in Tolley since, and throughout that time, my first year, this was probably a good 40 to 50% of my business, calling these people specifically. Okay. Ground rules, Bob, you know these. It's pretty self-explanatory. You know, form groups, inside conversations, be comfortable, respect time, respect each other, and have fun. Before we dive into too much of the content, though, they have an exercise for you to do. We can just discuss it, so you guys don't have to write it. That wants to know what lead generation activities are you guys currently doing? Anyone, don't all jump at once. Unless you want to take the time to write it, I can just shut up and let you guys
Calling
write
Google Leads.
it. Okay, well, that's actually prospecting.
Oh, sorry.
You do have somebody else on there, so you know,
Okay.
you can kind of pull from him if need be.
Who do we got?
Juan.
One.
What's up, Juan?
One.
Good morning, everyone.
How are you? All right, anyone else? Lead generation activities. What are you guys currently doing?
The
Facebook.
sphere.
Facebook, okay, Sphere, anything else? Wow, what are you doing?
I actually, I bought a house a few months ago, and the neighborhood that I bought the house in, there hasn't been a house for sale in, I think, 4 or 5 years. So I'm starting to, I want to develop, you know, something to reach out to the people, because the one neighbor came up to me, introduced himself, and said, well, yeah, that person over there is 80 years old, that one lives there, that's a widow, she's 90-some years old.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, so it's like, okay.
Where do you live?
And I'm fitting right in here, yeah. You know, I pull in with the Harley, I'm really gonna wake them up, but, you know, it seems like there's a lot of potential there for, you know, for in the next couple of years. So I wanna get my name out and just either do a mailer, walk around the neighborhood, you know.
Throw a neighborhood barbecue.
Yeah, once the fireplace is back in shape, yeah.
There you go.
So did you go to the session that was around farming?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So, did you take anything from that to kind of implement?
gave me some ideas, yeah, some, you know, I just need to get my butt in gear and start doing it. And I've been overworking at the house, so I'm not really in, you know, I'm standing there in my t-shirt and dirty jeans. Hey, how you doing? I'm a real.
So when we talk about what we're already doing, what's the most difficult? What would you say is the most challenging part about what you're already doing for lead generation?
Getting on the phone.
Yeah, getting them on the phone.
Getting on the phone or getting them on the phone?
Getting them.
Both.
Well, once I do it, then it's easy. Once you get started.
It's getting started, right? It's like going to the gym. No one wants to, except Adam. And Gavin. Like, going to the gym, nobody, you don't want to go until you get there, and then once you get there, it's
You don't
fun.
want to go.
It feels great,
And
yeah.
you saw me there once.
Adam and Gavin. So why are you here? For sale by owners and expires, guys, this is the only place where you can come into the office and say, okay, how can I get business today? Right? Like you can go door knocking and you can call your sphere and all that, but all of that is preparing for future business. This is the only source that you can come into the office and land yourself a listing contract or a buyer agency today, specifically listings. For sale by owners and expires, they've already decided to sell their house. They're basically raising their hand. They're saying, I want to sell my house and I'm either working with an agent or my agent didn't sell my house. Okay? They're the only type of lead that is ready to do something right now. So if there's a time where you're coming into the office and you need to generate business today, this is the best place to go to find that right now business. Okay? So what are you guys hoping to get out of this? What do you want to walk away from this class today with? What will make this a fruitful training? What will make this worthwhile for you guys?
Setting the appointment with a FISBO, getting them on
Yeah.
the phone is easy, but setting the appointment's the hard part.
Yeah.
I mean, like, what do you want to get out of this training though? Like, what do you want to learn? What do you want to take away?
Your way of backing them into a corner and having them agree to
Yeah.
the appointment,
Forcing
because
them to say yes.
Yeah.
To an appointment.
So they have scripts. I did find the scripts in the back of this book. They do have scripts for you. If you guys want to go over the script that I use and that I teach the rest of the team to use, we can do that at the end. Outside of that, besides script, is there anything else you guys want to get out of this today?
getting over their financial mindset. Because when you talk to the FISBO, they're gonna be all about commission, commission, commission. I
Okay.
don't wanna pay it.
All right,
Yeah.
getting over their financial mindset. Anything else?
I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Because the few that I have called, because I've had clients looking for that type of house,
Uh-huh.
and that was the first thing out of their mouth, well, who's paying the commission?
Exactly.
Um,
And do you have a buyer for me right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, those
Yeah.
are two things you're gonna hear on every phone call.
I've listened to you do a lot of them, and that's like
Yeah, they're hard.
the number one. Well, do you have a buyer?
Mhm.
So do you start off with that? Like, how would you, I guess we'll get into that. how you
Yeah,
approach
yeah,
that.
we'll get into that. They have a couple different approaches in here that you can take when working with them, and we'll talk about that. But before we do, let's talk about like who they are, right? For sale by owners, we know are people that just want to sell their house on their own. They're not using an agent. And the biggest myth around this is that for sale by owners don't want to work with an agent. That's not necessarily true. The reason they don't want to work with an agent, if you go deeper, is just because why?
Funny.
Money, right? They want that more money, right? So the fact is only 8% of for sale by owners actually say that they don't want to work with an agent, right? Only 8%. So that's 92% of for sale by owners out there that are willing to work with an agent if they get the money that they want, right? Two types of for sale by owners.
Experienced and unexperienced.
No. Do you have the packet? So two types of for sale by owners, closed market and open market, right? Closed market is a for sale by owner that's selling their house friend to friend, family to family, where there's no need for a real estate agent because everything's already there. Private transactions account for about 4% of all home sales. So very, very small percentage. So the rest of the FISBOs out there are on the open market and up for grabs.
Where are they pulling these statistics from?
NAR. Open market FISBOs is the second type, and this is the type of for sale by owner that you would be calling. These are the for sale by owners you're gonna see on like Zillow, the for sale by owner website. And then NAR's report also says that these transactions account for about 9% of all home sales. So you got 4% in the first scenario, 9% in the other one, that's 13%. That leaves you 87% of FISBOs that are gonna end up working with agents. The next slide just kind of puts that all in perspective, right? So 47% of all FISBOs say that they did not want to pay commission. That's why they did not work with an agent. It's always, as you can see, always about the money. 24% said that they sold to a friend or a relative or a neighbor, right? So that's the closed market FISBOs that we just talked about. 15% buyer contacted the seller directly. And then 4%, the agent was unable to sell the home. And then you see 1% for seller has a real estate license or couldn't find a suitable agent. So basically, the reason, the picture that this is painting is that it's a myth that FSBOs don't want to deal with a real estate agent. Only 8% say that they don't want to work with an agent. And the most common reason homeowners try to sell without an agent is because they don't want to pay a commission. They want to make the money for themselves. Demonstrating you can allow homeowners to net the amount they need to make is a good strategy for gaining business from 51% of the FSBOs. Important point to remember is that FSBOs are motivated sellers. They have essentially raised their hand and said, I need to sell a house. The next page goes in how past for sale by owner sellers will sell their home. And you can see that it grew, right? So the for sale by owners in the past, where they knew the buyer, 28% of them will sell themselves, 27% will use a real estate agent, 45% was a little unsure. And basically what they're trying to say here is even among those who do decide to sell on their own and are successful at selling on their own, the results here are indicating a certain degree of once is enough. So they did it once, didn't like it, realized how much work it was, and are now leaning in the direction of hiring an agent. We do this every day, guys. They don't. Most for sale by owners have a job. They have a 9 to 5. And they think that they can just put it on Zillow and have a buyer come to them. And in some cases that might work in this market, that might work. But they still have to oversee showings, work around inspections, work with the title company, work with the lender. They don't know how to do all that. They have a full-time job. This is our full-time job. This is how we streamline the process for them. Okay. Next is expired and withdrawn listings. Expired listing is just, you guys laughing at me.
No, I just had a question.
Oh.
You weren't paying
What's
attention.
up?
It's okay. I was just curious what happens when a for sale by owner tells you that they're experienced in for sale by owner? Like, hey, I've sold 4 or 5 of my houses before. I've never used an agent. I've all done it by myself. I'm very confident. I know what I'm doing.
I mean, you never want to tell a seller that they can't sell their own house, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
anybody can sell a house realistically. What you want to drive home is what value are you giving them? How are you going to get them more money, right? Who is going to say, I don't want you to take this work off my shoulders and make me more money, right? If you can demonstrate how you can do that, who would say no to that? The sticking point is getting the opportunity to be able to show them that. Right. Everybody thinks that we're just trying to take their listing so that we can take some of their bottom line, when in reality, we get the listing and we increase their bottom line. Did that answer your question?
Yeah.
Expired listing is just a listing that went on the market that didn't sell. It stayed on the market past the listing contract's expiration date.
And that's normally 6 months?
Depends. Some agents will do 6 months, some agents will do a year. Yeah.
I had one that they only wanted to do 90 days and I managed to get them to extend it 2 months because the place needed some work and that's the feedback I was getting from the showing. It needed work, so
Sorry.
we tried to get them to extend it just so we can talk about this. I got them to lower the price, but then after that, then they decided not to sell.
All that work.
Yeah. Yeah, they initially wanted to sell because of health reasons, and then the husband started having better health, so it's like, okay, we'll just stay.
So now, guys, think about an expired listing for a second. This is someone who's already decided to sell their house, is motivated to sell their house, has already agreed to work with an agent and already willing to pay a commission. So this could be the hottest lead that you get, right? They're already selling, they're already willing to work with an agent, they're already willing to pay a commission. Whereas a withdrawn or a canceled listing, that's anything that's been pulled from the market before the listing contract expires. A lot of times this can happen because the owners change their mind. Maybe they realize that the home isn't in as good a condition as they thought it was based on the feedback they've been getting, and they take it off market to do some repairs. Whatever the case may be, expired and withdrawn listings are both sellers who have agreed to list their home with an agent and already willing to pay a commission. These are going to be the most easiest leads for you guys to convert. For sale by owners and expireds are similar because they're both ready, business ready leads. For sale by owners are easy to get the appointment, more difficult to close because they're trying to sell their house. They're not going to not talk to agents because they don't know if we're just coming to try to get the listing or if we're actually coming to bring them a buyer. So they're going to have a conversation with you. They're going to be receptive to anything that you tell them because they want to sell their house. We just have to show them how we can net them more money because, as that shows, most of the for sale by owners just don't want to pay a commission. The for sale by owners are easy to get on the phone, hard to close. Expireds for sale by owners are easy to get the appointment, harder to close. Expireds are harder to get the appointment, easier to close. Why is that?
Because they've already worked with an agent.
Because
They've had a
the
bad
expired
experience.
already worked with an agent, right? The hardest part, because that expired person probably has a bad taste in their mouth from their last agent. So getting the appointment is going to be the hardest part because they've got that bad taste in their mouth. Once you've got the appointment, you've already gotten past that. You've already got the appointment with someone who wants to sell, has already worked with an agent, is willing to pay a commission. All you have to do at that point is close it. Okay. So for sale by owners, challenging to get the appointment, easier to get the appointment, more challenging to close. Expireds, more challenging to get the appointment, easier to close. Make sense? Okay.
The trouble I'd have with expireds when I was calling them back in the day is they would ask me, how am I different from the other agent? And it was tough for me to answer that because I feel like I'm just gonna post it on the MLS just like the last guy did and wait for a buyer to come by. So how do you, when a seller says I had a bad experience with my last agent, he was a great agent, he did everything he could, we just couldn't sell the house. What are you gonna do to get this house sold?
I would turn it back on them and start asking them questions, right? Like, what kind of feedback did you get when people looked at your home? Why do you feel like your house didn't sell, right? Get them to tell you why their house didn't sell and then go into telling them what you'll do differently. Okay. Anything else? So let's talk about why they don't sell. What are some of the reasons? Oh, they're right there. What are some of the reasons why houses don't
I was
sell?
gonna say marketing before I even
Overpriced.
saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's only so many reasons, right? It's overpriced, in a bad condition, it wasn't marketed well. The bottom line is you're not getting the exposure you need, and the exposure that you are getting isn't impressed because of either the price or the condition. That's really what it boils down to. The market that we're in right now, if it's not selling, I'd say you're probably overpriced if it's not selling in this market because houses are getting sold without inspections, waiving appraisals, all of that stuff. It's the least amount of red tape in this market than I've ever seen. So.
I think going off of what we learned, going off of the Airbnb stuff from yesterday. Were you in the meeting yesterday? Yeah. The biggest thing was like the photos too. When I think of for sale by owner, I think a lot of like dark, dingy pictures, like,
Off the right.
not so much anymore, but like, that's kind of what you thought of. And like, that deters a lot of people very quickly. If the pictures look gross or, they're not interested in them, they're not going to go look at the house. So I think that's the biggest thing too.
Do you think the big thing with expireds was that an agent showed up and said, look, you're probably getting 200 and the seller said, no, I want 250 bottom line, and the realtor said, well, all right, I'll throw it up for you, whatever. And it just never
That
sold.
could be,
Yeah.
or it could be that something was overlooked. I'll give you an example. I had a listing, it didn't go expired. We ended up selling it, but the only reason we sold it is because we did a significant price reduction on it once we found this out, but we went through the whole listing process and didn't realize until somebody was writing us an offer on it that the home was located in a flood zone, right? That's a huge thing to consider when considering price.
Yeah.
So we weren't getting any offers on it, and then when somebody did decide to write an offer and brought it to our attention that it was in a flood zone, we had to, reduce the price. But had we not reduced the price, it would have just sat on the market just because a detail in the listing was overlooked.
We overpriced Old Sapple. Remember the rancher with no basement?
That was another one. We had a rancher that we put on the market, and when we pulled comps were matching up. But what we overlooked was the fact that all the comps had a full basement and the subject property did not.
And all of our feedback was there's no space for storage.
So when we're, analyzing property lists, it's important to not miss those things, because if you do, you could find yourself in a situation where you have to have a conversation with the sellers about reducing price. Or if you keep it where it's at, you could turn into having a expired or withdrawn listing.
Have you ever had that happen?
One expired.
When expire? What was your particular situation?
I've had quite a few expired, mainly because I work with wholesalers and innovations, and a lot of times in those scenarios, the homes are not in the best condition. And you're just trying to sell it as is. So when you're working with transactions like that, it's not uncommon, just because that's the business model that wholesalers do. It's a numbers game for them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's bound to happen. You will have, an expired or withdrawn listing at some point in your career. All right.
My listing that expired, I mean, I know they had a set price that they wanted and the house needed work, but they didn't see it. They lived in
Yeah.
the house for 45 years. They couldn't see it. And all the feedback that I gave them was like, okay, the roof needs attention, this,
Mhm.
and we did, I had professional pictures taken. The place looked like an oasis, from the pictures. But it just, I couldn't convince them to come down below that price. If we dropped below that threshold that they wanted, I think we could have had an offer.
All right, this just mentions about the do not call list. If you are calling for sale by owners and expireds, make sure you're abiding with the do not call list. If you're using a dialer, a lot of the dialers will have a do not call feature where it filters out any numbers that are on the do not call list. So just make sure you're complying with that. You don't want to get any fines or bills, or you don't want to get in trouble.
Go to jail for that. Adam's going, he can go to jail for that.
What, for calling someone to do my call?
No, but Big Brother was knocking at your door.
All right, so give me a limiting belief for working with for sale by owners. What's something that people want to believe or think that's just not necessarily true?
They'll never meet with me.
They'll never meet with you? Okay. Russ?
They'll
No
never
way
pay
could
me-
I provide value to this person.
No, they'll never pay me 3%.
Okay. Anything else? If you guys turn the page, you'll see what I'm looking for.
You can only succeed with FSBOs and expireds / withdrawn listings by being aggressive and direct.
Aggressive and direct.
Yes, aggressive and direct. I will say, guys, that is the approach that I take. The script that I've taught you guys know already, that it's very assertive, it's very direct, and it's the conversation is structured in a way to kind of guide them to what we're looking for, right? However, the truth is you can win FSBOs and expired withdrawn listings by just coming from contribution, establishing trust and staying in touch. This is true. This has happened to me. It's more of a longer play. It's harder to do in this market because this market is moving so fast. So where you may want to take your time with the passive approach and offer value in hopes that the seller realizes the value that you have and then calls you to list. that approach works. I find it more challenging in the market that's moving as fast as we are today. So. There you go. The opportunity, we talked a little bit about this already, but these lead, they're business ready leads, and it says here, it's hard to imagine, for example, how you could use your time more efficiently than picking up the phone. And if you use those phone calls to talk with people already committed to selling their home, you're probably operating as productively as you can. Okay, because I mean, think about it. You come in here, and I know we call Google leads every day, right? But we don't know how ready those leads are. We can have their information just because they went on the website and put their name and number in, right? These leads already have their house on the market or had their house on the market. You just have to get in front of them and show them what value you can bring, whether that be the aggressive, I don't like using aggressive, assertive approach, or the passive approach. I mean, whatever works. I know, Matt, I know you love passive approaches, yeah, because you hate picking up the phone. And like I said, the passive approach can work. I don't know that it's going to work as often as the assertive approach. Maybe I'm biased just because that's the approach I use. But there's no other lead source where you can come into work and land yourself a deal today than for sale by owners and expires. That is right now business. If you guys know of any other right now business, let me know, because I'm trying to find it.
The problem with passive is that it eventually needs to get assertive at some point. You know,
Yes.
you could build that relationship. Hey, I'll provide you with this value, do this for you, do this for you. But eventually it comes to a point where you gotta close and set the appointment.
So what are some reasons to pursue for sale by owners and expires?
What page are we on?
We're on page 20.
It takes little money to pursue them.
There you go, Adam. Thanks for reading.
It also takes little time.
Takes
They're
a little-
easy to
little
find.
time, easy to
They're
find.
motivated
Guys, for
to
sale
sell.
by owners,
They're
by the
also
way,
They
go
wanna
on
pick up their
Zillow.
phone.
Go on Zillow.
Yeah.
They're right there. All for sale by owners are right there on Zillow. Guess what? Their phone number's on there too. And guess what?
They're gonna pick up.
They're gonna pick up their phone because they don't know the
They think
difference
that,
between an agent and a home buyer.
Mhm.
Okay. Expires. Withdrawals, you can pull those right out of the MLS. Okay, so these leads are literally right in front of you. You don't have to pay for them. You can if you'd like. It makes it a little more easier and a little more streamlined. We have, our team has a dialer that we pay for, and the dialer actually pulls in the for sale by owner data and expired data. It's just easier to manage that way, but you don't have to pay for it. You can go on Zillow, you can pull expires and withdrawals right from the MLS. Now, if you pull it from the MLS, it's not going to give you name and phone number. It's only going to give you addresses. So if you do pull expires and withdrawal from the MLS and you don't have a dialer that's going to provide that data for you, you're going to have to find some sort of skip tracer in order to get names and addresses of the data that you pull from the MLS
Rick.
for expired and withdrawal.
No, I'm just kidding.
Or
Rick-
mail.
Yeah, Rick always looks up the first one. What, real quick, Jeremy, when's the last time you did a FISBO? Could we maybe do some role play one day and sit in on you calling them?
Mhm.
Cause I listened to Adam call them and I just to hear
I'm
someone else's
terrible.
approach. No,
Yeah, it's making you more bad.
well, yeah,
Listening to him.
Just, well, speaking of that, like, do you mind going through just to kind of, for the sake of the
yeah,
class,
maybe you could do
just-
it real quick.
how would you, if I called you and I was your FISBO, what
Put
would
me on
you
the
say?
spot. We can do
Yeah.
it. I mean, we can do it. I'll role play it with you, but let's get through this first. We'll do
No,
that.
that's
later.
fine.
Okay. Are there any other reasons that you want to pursue for sale by owners and expires? We hit all the ones on this page, but anything else? Think of something that's not on here. Anybody?
It could be repeat business.
Right.
Sounds
Could we
weird.
repeat this?
And it could be a
Buy
double.
them. Right, they
It
might
could
need
be
to buy
Buy,
them.
sell.
To buy, yeah.
So think about it like this. If you're pursuing a for sale by owner, and Matt, I'll use you as an example because you love the passive route. if you're working with a FSBO and you're taking the passive approach is just demonstrating value, right? Can I show you, can I come preview your home to see if I have a buyer? Can I host an open house for you? Right? Like those kind of approaches, that's a passive approach because you're not asking for the business, you're providing value. Now, whether you get that listing or not, you're still providing value to that person. So if a time ever comes where that person has a family member or a friend or a coworker who's looking to buy or sell or invest, who do you think they're going to think of? They're going to think of the person that's doing stuff for them for free without expecting anything in return. Right? So even if you're pursuing a FSBO and you don't actually get that FSBO, you're still building a relationship. And what's this business all about? Building relationships, right? So even if you talk to 10, 15 FSBOs and you don't get a single listing from it, you still made 15 new relationships, right? Now, how can we tap into their sphere of influence?
And some could be repeat business, because I would see as I'm doing my dials for FSBO, there's 4 or 5 guys that like to do their own flips or sell their own rentals. They've been in the real estate game for a long time. And they're like, yeah, I own 10 rentals, I'm selling them by myself.
Yeah.
No need to pay an agent.
And that's the thing, you never know who you're going to talk to. You could be talking to an investor. You could be talking to someone who just doesn't know what they're doing. I had it for sale by owner. I called one time and I set the appointment. I went out to his house and he told me the only reason that he was doing his house for sale by owner is because he was drunk the night before and just wanted to see what he could get for his house. I'm not even joking. And it was 2 days later, I had a listing appointment with him and he gave me every objection in the world, but he ended up signing and we ended up selling his house for him.
Did you drink with it? No, I'm just kidding.
All right, 6 ways to win with FSBOs. Number 1,
Get that
get
listing.
the listing.
You'll win real quick.
Get the listing.
How do we do that? Find a buyer for the house, right? So if you are communicating with these for sale by owners, which by the way, guys, in this market, for sale by owners are great to show your clients because there's going to be far less competition on those houses.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you have a client, I have a client right now, actually, just met with her for the first time yesterday. She gave me 3 properties she's interested in, one of which is a for sale by owner. So you better bet I'm going to call that for sale by owner and say, hey, I have a buyer for your that's interested in the property. Can I come and look at it? Now, we talked about the passive approach and the direct approach. That's not the normal approach that I would normally take, but because I really do have a potential buyer for it, I want to leverage that buyer, right? I want to take the buyer to the house. I want to show the house to the buyer. And if the buyer is interested, I go back to the seller and tell them I have a buyer that's interested and then try to get the listing, right? I have a buyer that's interested. Here it is. Can I write this up? Try and get the 6% instead of 3. Okay. Number 3, help the seller buy a new home nearby. Why are they selling? What's their motivation? Where are they going? What's their timeline? How can we make that process easier for them? Okay. Refer the seller to another agent if they're buying out of town. So maybe you can't help them. Maybe they're moving out of state, right? Well, if they don't want to work with a realtor here, or maybe they don't know a realtor here, what makes you think that they know a realtor wherever they're moving out of state? And if you're able to connect them with a realtor wherever they're going, that's just another piece of value that you provided them. Come time for them to consider working with an agent, who are they going to think of? You. Right?
That's a 25% referral fee. Yeah, baby.
Number 5, meet potential buyer and seller customers by offering to host an open house. Okay. Again, this is stuff that we do regularly. We know how to do this stuff. It's easy and streamlined for us. We know how to do it. We've done it before. For sale by owners, chances are they've never done an open house. They don't know who's walking in and out of their property. They don't know if anybody, all the people that are walking through the property are pre-approved or if they're just nosy neighbors, right? That's again, the value that we provide. How many people do you want walking through your home? And what processes do you or systems do you have put in place to make sure that you're not getting a bunch of tire kickers walking through? Right. Number 6, help the seller write up business if the seller finds a buyer. Okay. So one of the other things you can offer is to be what we would call like a transaction licensee, right? Which is basically just someone who does nothing but paperwork. You're not representing the buyer or the seller, but they don't know how to do the paperwork. So you're gonna offer to do that for them for whatever fees negotiated.
Twice as much as you pay back.
So 6 ways to get, so when they say get the listing, that I would consider that like the more direct approach, like just going straight for the listing. If you can't get that, try to find a buyer for the house and use that as leverage to get the listing. Help the seller buy a new home, refer the seller to another agent out of town, meet potential customers by doing an open house, and help the seller write up business.
Have you ever had that, Jay? Where somebody said, I absolutely do not want to pay a commission to a seller's agent, but since I don't need to pay a commission to a buyer's agent, I'd be happy to have a buyer's agent.
Say that one more time.
You ever had a FISBO say, look, Jeremy, I don't want to pay you 6% to sell my house, but if you're going to be my buyer's agent, I don't have to pay a commission for that. Then yeah, I'll use a buyer's agent. Can you be my buyer's agent?
I've never had that happen, but it could.
Yeah.
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 And again, that's just, something else you could leverage, because if you were the for sale by owner and you said that to me,
Yeah.
I would then say, go into, why he feels it's important for me to work with him as a buyer. And if you feel it's important for me to represent you as a buyer, seeing as how you don't have to pay for it, what makes you think that you're going to find a buyer that's not working with an agent? And if that buyer is working with an agent, are you comfortable paying a 3% buyer's commission? Because that's what they're going to ask for. If they say yes, you've already got them halfway there,
Yeah.
right?
Very good point.
So you want me to represent you as your buyer's agent because you don't have to pay for it. You see the value there. Well, what makes you think that the buyer of your house isn't going to see that same value and isn't going to be represented by an agent? So the savings that you're hoping to get is actually going to be captured by the buyer. All right. Any other questions? So the two approaches, the direct approach and the indirect approach. Diana Kokoska, she is the creator of MAPS coaching. I'm sure you guys have heard of that. She likes the direct approach. And then the Jean Grubb likes the passive approach. So Diane is making the phone calls. She believes that call them first and call them often is the best approach. She said here,
I like it.
some people say that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting to get different results. So I'm curious, what is your agent going to do this time that they didn't do last time, right? For an expired listing, ask that question. That's a powerful question, right? Oh, your house didn't sell the first time, you're going to relist it, you're going to use the same agent. I'm curious, what are they going to do differently this time? I mean, that's a valid question. Then it also says here that if Diana did not get an appointment the first time around, she would continue to contact these potential customers until she did, or until they told her to stop. Okay.
If you ask them that, like, what is your agent gonna do differently this time than they were last time, can't they just flip that on you and then say, well, what would you do differently?
And I would say that's exactly what we're going to talk about when we meet, and I would love to go over that with you. I've got 3 o'clock and 5 o'clock available. What works better for you? Get the appointment. You do not want to battle the seller over the phone. Agree with them, and anything that they're fishing for, any information, tell them, you know what, I'm glad that you asked that. That's important to you. It's important to me. That's the first thing we're going to talk about when we meet. Okay, you never want to tell a seller that they're wrong, or you never want to tell them that they can't do something. Okay, you agree with them, and then try and go in for the appointment. The indirect approach, Jean Grubb takes. She will call, make an appointment to preview the house. She will call, because Matt hates calling. She will call to preview the house. Then after she previews the house, she's going to be looking around the house for something that she can help with. Once she gets back to her office or back to her house, she writes a thank you note to the owner and sends it to him in the mail. Thank you notes are huge. Have you got, I know you guys have done it, Bob. Do you do thank you notes?
Handwritten. Yep.
What's that?
Handwritten.
Handwritten.
Yeah, we all do
yeah.
it too.
Yep.
And then she acts on the information that she gathered while previewing the home. If she has any buyers that home could be a potential match for, she'll show the home to the buyer. She offers to host an open house. She offers to advertise the house on her website. And she'll send another, flyer with some personalized information. So this is just an approach of, let me stay in front of you and let me try to help you sell your house, but not by listing it. Let me do everything I can to help you sell your house without listing it, so that when the time comes for you to decide to list it, you're gonna think of me.
Advertise the house on her website. If they agree, she would advertise the house as a FISBO, including price and general location, but not specific address. To gather additional information, a prospective buyer would need to contact Jean directly. That's interesting.
Yeah, so she's basically using that for sale by owner's house as a lead generation tool, right?
Mhm.
Like, hey, this house is for sale. It's for sale by owner.
Yeah.
Right?
Do I get in there?
If you're interested in looking at it, submit this form, right?
Yeah.
Name, email, phone number. Now you just gotta lead. You're using a for sale by owner's listing as a lead generation tool.
Very smart.
And then that's another point of value that you can show the seller, because now you run an ad campaign for this for sale by owner's house and you're generating these leads, right? Now you can go to for sale by owner and say, hey, listen, look, I did some advertising on the property. Look at all these people that's interested in your property, right? When can I show the house to them? All right. You're gonna stand out because no other agent's gonna be doing that. Every other agent's taking that direct approach, right? Calling them every morning, right? 16. Okay. They say persistence is the key to the game, right? So research shows that 50% of agents will not follow up with the FISBOs after a week. Okay, and if you go to page 24 in the is it 24 for you guys? 24. That kind of shows you on the left-hand side, shows the original agents competing for the same FISBO listing, and then the horizontal line shows the weeks on the market. So your first week, you've got every agent calling, fighting for this FISBO, right? They are getting inundated with calls. So when you call these people and they feel like they're annoyed because another realtor is calling them just trying to get the listing, that's why. You see, week 2 goes down 50%. Week 3 goes down almost another 25%. And then week 4 is very, very minimal. If the for sale by owner is still on the market by week 4, that's going to be your best bet. Now, if you call them week 4 and you've never talked to them before that, how do you think that's going to go, right? Where they probably had 10, 15, 20 other agents calling them for the last 3 weeks. Here you come calling them for the first time. Do you think that they're going to take whatever you have to say as seriously as they would if you were calling them 2-3 weeks ago? Probably not. They could, but probably not. You don't have any rapport built with them. You don't have a connection with them. If you've been calling them up to that point, they know who you are. They know what you have to offer. They know why you're calling, right? So when you compare that, if I'm calling this after the last 3 weeks, Matt's never called him at all, and we both decide to call him on week 3, who do you think he's going to be more inclined to work with? You, right? All right. Mindset. When you're dealing with these, you have to know what it takes to get someone to do business with you, right? We know that for sale by owners are most concerned about the money. They want to net the most amount of money. They want to have the biggest bottom line. And when we're calling these people, like I said, they're getting inundated with calls the first couple of weeks. They're going to be annoyed, right? Persistence is everything. You have to go into it with a mindset of knowing that you may talk to some people that are annoyed. You may talk to some people that tell you to stop calling. You may talk to some people that hang up on you, right? But you can't let rejection stop you, right? Because persistence, as you see in the graph from the page before, persistence is what's going to get you there. You're going to get people that hang up on you. You're going to get people that yell at you and hang up on you. It's the nature of the game. The reality is you can't look at it like you're bothering them. These are people raising their hand saying they want to sell their house, and you're calling to try to help them do what they're trying to do. You have to believe that you're calling to show them how you can get them more money by taking a load of work off of their plate. If you don't believe that, it's going to show in your tonality. If you don't believe that you can truly help this person do what they want to do, it's gonna show in your tone, it's gonna show in your voice. Okay, so set realistic expectations. You're not gonna close every FSBO you talk to. You might call them for a whole month and not get a single appointment. It's persistence. You cannot let rejection get you down, and you have to continually try to come from contribution, try to find ways to provide value to these people. When you focus on how you can make the seller's life better and easier, you have the greatest chance of converting them to a customer. Okay.
I have a question. Well, it's more of a statement. Couldn't you offer to come to an open house for them?
Yeah, actually, my next question was gonna be, what are some things that you could offer for sale by owner by coming from contribution? That's one, offer to do an open house. What are some other ones?
I would love to do what I did with Hartley, which would say, hey, I'm just gonna take your house, post it on my Facebook,
I
post it on
see,
Facebook Marketplace, post it anywhere that I can get eyeballs on it that's online, and have people call me and say, hey, I'm a brand new buyer, I'd love to buy that house, and now I have a brand new buyer.
Yeah,
So I got like 3 buyers out of posting Hartley.
yeah, and that's what we were talking about earlier about using the listing as a lead generation tool.
And I mean, we get something out of posting the open house because then we
Yeah,
have
leads.
potential clients.
Most likely, if
It's
you're
actually
probably
a
gonna
great
use an
idea.
attorney, so you can offer to help them.
Full contract and paperwork.
Yeah. Coming from a contribution, just like our FSBO help packet.
Mhm.
Hey, you've never did an inspection before, right? Here's a page that describes what an inspection is. You never filled out an agreement of sale before, right? Here's a page that breaks it down simply that you can read.
What kind of expertise can you offer, right? What do the sellers know about the market? What do the sellers know about staging their home, getting it ready for photos? Do they even get professional photos? Maybe you can offer to get professional photos for them, you know? Offer them different services, like down below, it talks about the open house again. You can provide pointers on holding an open house, do a market analysis for them, create a virtual tour, do a financial pre-qualification on potential buyers. These are all things that are just part of our process. You know, we do these things and a lot of times without thinking, just because we do it every day. For sale by owners, they're not gonna know this stuff, they're not gonna know how to do this stuff. And it's gonna be a real learning curve for them. So someone that comes in that's gonna offer to do this stuff or teach them this stuff or offer these services to them without expecting anything in return is gonna stand out to them. Okay. Steps for working with FSBO. Who's actually working with FSBO? Bob, you said you have?
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, I had one successful, that's how I got a listing, and then I had one unsuccessful one where I called, because I actually had a buyer that's interested in the house, and they just didn't, well, your buyer's gonna have to pay the commission, just right off the bat.
So
And
the
I-
FSBO that you did work with, that you closed, how did you get it? Explain it, like, tell us exactly what you did to get it.
I actually, I had seen the sign for sale, because I just gone from one showing, coming from a showing, called them and asked them, told them, you know, who I was. I had some buyers. I just drove by your place, had first showing, I saw the sign. Could you tell me more about the property? I have some buyers that may be interested. They were looking in that area.
Mhm.
He told me what the property was, and I said, well, okay, you know, can I come look at the property a little bit and, you know, see if it's something that my buyers would like? Do you have any other information? And just trying to get him to talk to me about the property. And he said, yeah, you know, come on out. You know, I called my buyers, talked to them. It was something that they weren't interested in. It was too big. It's like 14 acres. So I called him back. I said, I wanted to thank you for your information. You know, I talked to my buyers. The property is too big for what they were looking for. And then I popped the question, said, would you be interested in me still coming out to look at the property? And would you have any, you know, could I sit down with you and talk to you about possibly listing it? Sure. So then Katie and I went out.
Nice.
We got the listing.
Yeah. Because you took the initiative to try and help him get the home sold.
Yeah.
Without just going in there and trying to get the listing.
Yeah.
Right. So many agents will call these for sale by owners and say, that they have a buyer for the property and they want to come preview the property and they never even have a buyer. They're doing that just to get their foot in the door to try and get the listing, okay? I don't agree with that, because what happens when the seller asks you where the buyer is? What happens when they ask you what the buyer thought of the property? Or, now you're starting off a relationship with a lie, essentially. You're telling them that you have a buyer when you don't. So in Bob's case, he really had a buyer and he went and showed the buyer the property. So the FSBO actually saw the buyer, saw that he was showing the house to a buyer. I'm willing to bet that you were probably the only agent that did that, which is probably why when you asked to talk about listing it, he was open to that idea because he's already got a connection and a relationship with you. He sees that you already took the initiative to try and help him sell the house instead of selling it for him.
He did tell me they had some phone calls from some other agents. He mentioned some of the agents' names and he went with us because essentially we told him you would be working with myself or Katie. You wouldn't be working with, this group. You would be working with anybody who would want to see the property would come through me. So.
Was it someone from our team? No, I'm just kidding.
Was it?
It
bigger-
was, no.
Was it bigger names? I'm assuming names that you would recognize.
Yeah. And they even pushed us to try to lower the
Yeah.
commission, and we were able to convince them,
Here's why.
here's what we're doing. Here's what we'll do for you. Good.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I have to think, Katie was a,
Clank or?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, because it was essentially a farm. It was a
Oh,
14-acre farm, so I
That's her
needed
jam.
her in my back pocket to.
Oh, yeah.
Like, and it turned out it was really just 14 acres.
So you work independently, not with Katie?
Right.
Okay. Oh, that wasn't, she's so nice.
Yeah. So it worked out. The other one that I called was not fair. Again, they said right off the bat, well, you're going to have to get your buyers to pay the commission. I'm not paying anything. And I said, well, okay, we can talk about that. Let me talk to my buyer. Maybe we can discuss something, when we get face to face.
Right.
And I asked her about the property. I said, can you tell me some more about the property? Give me some descriptions and what your asking price. And right off the bat, she says, well, the neighbor has a shed built on my property. And I
Oh,
said,
no.
okay, have you disclosed that? Then have you, is that in a disclosure somewhere that, how far is it just on the line? She says, oh, no, it's over quite a ways in the property. I said, well, how are you taking care of that in the sale? Are you going to have them move it or? And I tried to get her to be more open and just give me some more information.
Was this recently?
Last year.
Oh.
And
I know why you're asking.
And I drove by the place a couple times and saw the sign, and then eventually when she started telling me more about the property, I realized it wasn't a fit for my buyers.
Yeah.
So I called them up, told them about it anyway, and I called her back, said, I just wanted to let you know, wanted to follow up. They're not interested because of, it was 2 bedrooms, they were looking for 3 or something. I said, is there anything else I can do for you? And she said, no, and then she made a comment that either a relative of hers was a real estate agent. And so I'm thinking, well, why aren't they listing it?
Yeah, I get that a lot, actually.
It just, but then a few days later, or a week later, I saw it was actually listed with another broker and had sold. So, and it sold for more than what she wanted.
Nice.
So
I already knew that.
I was like, okay.
Yeah.
But that one, I just couldn't get my foot in the door. I just didn't.
I went on a failed FSBO appointment before as well.
Oh, was that the guy that said he had a swimming pool? And it was like a concrete.
No, so I actually went on 2 failed. FSBO
Yeah,
appointments.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
See, I do pay attention, Jeremy.
Yeah. The one guy, I probably had his kitchen a puddle of sweat because that's how nervous I was in front of him and his wife.
Oh, that's the one you did recently.
Yeah. All right, so guys, we're gonna talk about the steps, right? Know what you're gonna say. Prepare for talking to these people, because you go in and you call these guys out, and what happens if you don't know what you're gonna say?
And
You crash and burn.
know what you're gonna say, prepare materials to give them, create an 8x8 customized for FISBOs.
What's
Set
an
your
8x8?
goal. Huh?
What's an 8x8?
Postcard.
Oh.
Set your goals, find them, organize your information on each listing. Okay. On the following pages, you'll see an example of the 8x8 that they use. You know, get your home ready to sell, 10 steps to selling your home by yourself, 27 quick and easy fix-ups to sell your home fast and for top dollar. You know, there's some examples of the postcards there. And then they, on the next page over, they'll give you like a FISBO packet checklist, what to include in your presentation to a FISBO, testimonials, logo folder, cover sheet, sign-in sheet, I guess that would be for an open house, service provider list, security tips, litigation checklist, preparing your home for sale, seller's disclosure, mold disclosure, homeowners association, 2 business cards, your unique selling proposition. So this is what they're suggesting you do. I will tell you, this is not the approach that I take. I have a much different approach that we can talk about later. But if you're looking to put a packet together, they're suggesting to put these things in there to deliver this stuff. All right, so prepare. They want touch 1 to be previewing the property and leaving a packet for the seller. Touches 2 and 3, they are suggesting to send either a postcard or a letter, and then a call after one of the mailings. Touch 4, make the phone call. Touches 5 through 7 is to send postcards or letters for touch. And then touch 8. All right. They give you some postcard subjects. You can talk about price, condition, competition, marketing. Bob, did you do postcards at all for your FISBO? No.
Good, how are you?
Someone might.
Thank you.
That Michelle?
Hold on, I got it. I'm gonna try to,
Thanks, Megan.
oh, hold on. Oh, she got it.
So once you have your postcard set up, you know what you're putting on the postcards, you want to set a goal. You know, this is huge. Anytime you go into any form of prospecting, you want to set a goal for yourself, because what gets tracked improves. If you're not tracking it, you don't know where you fall, you don't know what to improve, you don't know how you're doing. So anytime you're going into a prospecting session, every morning when our team meets, we talk about, okay, we're getting ready to go make calls. What's our goal for the day? We want to have, you know, X amount of conversations. We want to set X amount of appointments. And if that's our goal, then we know we have to make X amount of phone calls, right? If we know that it takes 25 phone calls to get a conversation and it takes 10 conversations to get an appointment, how many appointments do you want to get? Figure out how many calls you have to make. It's just a numbers game. Okay, but if you don't set a goal before you go into this, you're going at it blindly. You don't know what to aim for, right? What gets tracked gets improved. All right, once you have your goals set, it's time to actually find the people that you're going to call. As we talked about earlier, for sale by owners, you can pull right from Zillow if you don't have a software that's going to provide that data for you. Or you can use like RedX, Mojo, Land Voice. Our team uses Espresso Agent. There's so many different products out there that will compile all that data for you into a dialer. And Ryan brought us donuts.
Woo, read my mind.
Let's go.
You guys look hungry.
Thanks, Ryan.
Are they like half used?
They are now.
How do you use a donut?
Thanks,
You need
Ryan.
it.
Thanks, Fred.
Come on, man, let's get it.
All right, so
You're on a
if
diet?
Huh?
You're on a diet? I'm sorry.
Will you give me a sprinkle one, please, Adam?
you guys are not using a dialer that's gonna compile this stuff for
Oh,
you.
wow.
Make sure you are using something that's gonna keep you organized. You wanna be able to track who you called, when you called, and how the phone call went, because the last thing that you wanna do is call a for sale by owner that you've been calling for the last 2 or 3 weeks, and you don't know what you and him talked about last time. And now it just looks like you forgot everything that you and him were talking about, and it just blows your credibility. So us, we have CRM, everybody you talk to, we put notes in there. If you're not using something like that, use some kind of system that you can track everything that you're talking to these people about. You do not want to blow your credibility by forgetting. Okay.
Command has that, doesn't it? I use some of that in Command for my contacts. I
Okay.
call them, I'll put a note in Command
Yeah.
for each contact.
Yep. I accidentally hit the button. All right. Write question statements, information of value or scripts you can use for 8 FISBO contacts. You must need them, like the postcards. Let's see. Help agents come up with stimulating question statements and scripts that will help homeowners reach the conclusion they should hire you to sell their house. Okay. So what's something that you can ask a homeowner that is going to help them reach the conclusion of wanting to work with you? Like, in other words, what's a question that you can ask them that's going to shine a light on the challenges they could potentially face in a real estate transaction?
How many showings and offers have you gotten so far?
Okay. How many showings and offers have you got? What else?
What listing price?
How'd you come up with your listing price?
Mhm.
Yeah. What else?
Have you done this before? Do you know what's involved in it?
Okay. What about, do you have a seller's disclosure? Chances are they don't even know what that is.
That was the question I asked the second.
Do you have a seller's disclosure? Did you know that you needed a seller's disclosure?
Her comment was nobody asked, so I'm not fighting.
Did you know that every real estate
wow.
transaction in the state of Pennsylvania has to have one?
Did you know if your house was built before 1978?
Do you have a lead-based paint disclosure?
Boom.
Right?
Mhm.
These are all the things that, again, we don't think about because we're just used to doing it.
Do you know the difference between a FHA offer versus a conventional offer?
Or better yet, how are you pre-screening people that are coming through your house to know that they're pre-approved, or are you just letting anybody walk through?
Mhm.
Right. What else? One more.
I used the pre-screening to help with the listing that I got because his wife was very nervous about people coming through. And with the property, I said, we will pre-screen, people will be pre-qualified before they're able to view the house.
You can ask them if they're gonna have a lockbox.
Yeah.
Or how they're gonna schedule showings.
Yeah.
I tried to do, well, I had a client that wanted to see a FISBO, and then it turned out that I went there for the appointment. It wasn't a FISBO. They hired I don't know, they paid like a one-time fee
Like
to get it
help
on
you
the
sell.
MLS.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really weird. I don't know, but I was like, oh, this is a waste of time. Not really, but
They're a pain in the butt because they're on the market, but yet you have to deal with the FISBO.
Right.
The entire transaction.
One more question.
One more what?
One more question.
Oh, are
uh,
you looking for a specific one?
No.
Where are you selling?
yeah. well,
Something that's gonna
reservation.
complicate, something that's gonna make sway them in the direction of using it, something that's gonna make them say, you know what, I didn't think about that. Maybe I should use it.
How, you could ask them, how are you going to market other than just doing the MLS? So you're gonna touch people on Google, Facebook, Instagram, everything
How
else.
do you plan to market your property?
Yeah.
What are you doing to make sure your home's getting the most exposure?
How
What's
are,
your plan for reviewing offers? What happens if you get multiple offers? Are you gonna set a deadline?
how are you gonna negotiate a document you don't understand how to read?
Are you familiar with the lenders around here? Do you know which local lenders are reputable and which ones to look out for? Because
Who's gonna
not all
hold our
lenders are
money?
created, not all lenders are equal, right?
Rocket Mortgage.
Yeah, Rocket Mortgage.
Rocket Mortgage, I honestly, I recommend that. They're great.
What? Oh, I was like, okay.
Take action, practice scripts and handling objections so you have confidence in yourself. All right, so they have scripts in the book that we're gonna go through. I will tell you, I am not familiar with these because I don't use them. Like I said, if you guys want to go over the script that we use, I can do that afterwards. But just for the sake of getting through this, we can go ahead and look at the first script. First, it talks about how to get ready, right? Put a do not disturb sign on the door like that. Yeah, page 36 is a very do not disturb. Don't bog yourself down in getting ready. It's easy to focus so much on getting ready to make these calls because in reality, you don't want to make the call. So you're thinking of every possible thing that you need to do before making the phone call, right?
You
I'm
guys did
guilty of
that
it
for
too.
like 2 weeks, didn't you?
Yeah, I'm guilty of it too. I mean, we all do it. Nobody comes into work and is excited to pick up the phone, right? But going somewhere where you're not going to be disturbed because the littlest distraction will pull you away. Okay. Go somewhere where you're not distracted. Make sure you have your call list. Make sure you have your goal set, and then just start calling. Get that first call out of the way. Keep in mind, these are people that have raised their hand to sell their house. Okay. These are not cold leads. This is not cold calling. This is someone that wants to sell their house that we are just trying to help them get it done faster and get them more money. Okay. So the first script, who wants to do it with me?
I'll do it.
All right. So this first script is to set an appointment. So, hi, my name is Jeremy. I'm a real estate agent with Keller Williams, and I was wondering if your house is still for sale.
Oh.
The script is right here.
Oh,
Yes,
I'm
it is.
aware. Yes, it is. I didn't know if he was doing it.
Great, great. I work with a lot of buyers and sellers in this area, so I was wondering, how could I help you?
I can't think of anything.
Well, if I could bring you an offer that would net you the amount of money you feel you must net in order to sell your home, you'd consider that offer, wouldn't you?
Would the offer include a commission?
If I bring the offer, it would. And my question is, if the offer nets you the amount of money you feel you must net, would you consider the offer?
Maybe.
To be sure your home will fit my buyer's needs, when would be the best time to look at your home? Today at 3 or 5?
Do you have someone in mind?
I'm not sure. I can't tell until I see your home. You see, I preview houses for my buyers and I only take them to houses I know will meet their needs and wants. So until I see a house, I don't know if it would be appropriate for anyone I'm working with. I like to be familiar with everything that's on the market so I can provide the best possible service to my customers. So would you like me to put your house on the list of properties that I show my buyers?
I guess that sounds okay.
Terrific. When's a good time for me to come over? 3 or 5? Okay, so it's a very direct approach. Okay, I'm introducing myself, saying that I might have a buyer for it, but I need to come preview the property, and then going in and asking for the appointment. Okay,
I don't like the paragraph at the end of 37, to be honest. with
So you shouldn't lie and say you have a buyer.
well, so in this particular script, they didn't lie. They said, I'm not sure. I can't tell until I see your home. So they're not giving the indication that they have a buyer or bringing a buyer.
I
Right.
preview houses before I show it to my buyers.
Yeah.
I know exactly 100%.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I do that all the
Right.
time.
I don't waste their time.
I do that all the time.
Yeah, that just sounds.
So you're gonna eventually have to transition and answer the question to the seller. Well, do you have any buyers, or what do you think of the house? Is the house a match for your buyer, right? Taking this approach, you're gonna eventually have to answer that, okay? That's the only reason I don't use that, okay? The next script going down, someone else who wants to do this one with me?
Sure.
All right. Agent, now this is where we're gonna explain how we can have a win-win relationship together, okay? I work with a lot of buyers and sellers in this area, and I'm wondering how I might be able to help you.
Why would you want to do that? We're selling our house ourselves.
I respect that you're selling the house on your own, and I think there are some win-win opportunities for both of us. Number one, I might be able to find a buyer for you because I work with so many buyers in the area. Second, I know that quite a few people will probably come to look at your house. I'd be interested in getting names and phone numbers of people who come to look, but do not make an offer on your house. In fact, I offer rewards to people who give me leads for buyers. And last, if you don't sell, we may have an opportunity to work together to get your house sold. That makes sense, doesn't it?
That sounds like I might be interested.
Fantastic. When will be a good time for me to come over to see your house? 3 or 5? Okay,
Do you specifically pick 3 and 5, or are you just saying that?
I'm just using it for the
Oh, okay.
example. Yeah,
It's funny because they said 3.
yeah. The idea behind that is called an alternate
Oh,
advance,
yeah,
right? It's called an alternate advance. So when you ask a question, instead of leaving it open-ended, saying, when's a good time for you? So that they can say, I don't know, let me check with my wife, or I don't know, let me check my calendar, or, you're not leaving it open-ended, you're giving them options. It's this or that, right? It's a very direct and easy question for them to answer. You're not leaving it open for interpretation.
Interesting. This agent pays a referral fee to the seller if he finds a buyer at their open
Yeah.
house. No, this is script we just read.
Oh.
In fact, I offer rewards to people who give me leads for buyers.
Yeah. So in that
I don't like
particular
that.
instance, you're basically
Like,
asking,
Yeah.
you're asking them for the leads, essentially.
Mhm.
The only downside, I mean, you're in this particular scenario, you're gonna eventually have to answer the question of, were any of those buyers interested? Did you follow up with those buyers? Did you, and that's fine. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm just very leery about being misleading with these people, with these sellers, because they already are not working with an agent, and you want to give them a reason to work with an agent. This approach is good, but if they find out, you do not want to mislead them. If they get even just a sense of you misleading them or lying to them, this isn't lying to them. But if they get the sense that you are, they're going to shut it down. Additional questions. So tell me why you're selling your house. Where are you moving to? Okay, these questions here are the kind of questions that I use to ask them when they start to get defensive. Okay, because I take a more direct approach with my script, sometimes they will get a little defensive, and that immediately I shift away. I take the attention off of the topic that's making them be defensive, and I shift towards something that they would enjoy talking about, like, where are you moving to? Right? If they're moving, typically, they're probably excited about the move. Do you need assistance with the purchase of that home? When do you need to be there? What happens if you don't sell your house? Are you prepared to drop your price if your house doesn't sell? There's a whole list of questions here. When do you plan on interviewing agents for the job of selling your house? Right? Anytime you're on the phone and the for sale by owner gets defensive, you want to shift it and start asking a different question.
Why are you looking at me like that?
Script for when you don't get an appointment.
Oh, we had.
Who wants to read it?
I really appreciate your time.
Thanks, Bob.
I would like to stay in touch with you to see if you have any questions or find out how things are going. Is that okay?
Script for when delivering the FSBO packet.
I'll do it.
Thanks, Al.
Are you the agent?
Go ahead. Yeah, no, I'll be the FSBO.
Hello, Mr. Tolley. I am Adam with Keller Williams. I happen to be thinking of you and I thought I'd drop this off. I can't think it can help. Oh, Jesus Christ. I think it can help you in the sale of your home because it contains information about the market interest rates and how buyers are backing out.
Thank you.
Where are you at?
Contains information about blank, mention something.
So mention something in the FSBO.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you.
How did things go this week? Is there anything I can help you with? If you need anything, please don't hesitate to call.
So that's, if you put together the packet that they outlined earlier, the checklist that they told you to put in, that's just a script for calling to drop the packet off, okay? Let's talk about an objection. If you get an objection that says we're not paying a commission. Okay, so Bob, I'm gonna pick on you. Let me ask you this, are you trying to save on the commission or is your goal to get as much money as possible on the sale of your home?
To make more money.
to make more money. If I could bring you an offer that matches the amount of money you feel you must net in order to sell your home, you'd at least consider that offer, wouldn't you?
Probably.
Right, so for sale by owner specifically, it's always about the money, okay? If they don't want to work with an agent, the reason they don't want to work with an agent is because they don't want to pay the commission. It's always about the money, unless it's a closed market FSBO like we talked about earlier. Like it's friend to friend, family to family, where there's really no need for an agent, okay? Anything other than that, from the better part, is mostly all about the money, yes?
What if, and this is just, I don't know if this would happen. I actually, so the one person, when I took them, they said he was not willing to pay commission, but say the buyer is still interested in the property. Obviously, you have to just go through with it like you normally would without taking commission, right? Is that what you would do?
So when you originally meet with your buyer, okay, you should be having a conversation when you're going through the buyer's agency. We should be having a conversation of,
Right.
this is what I get paid, right? And in most cases, this is paid by the seller. The only thing you'd be responsible for is the broker fee. In the rare event that the seller does not agree to pay a commission, that is the only time that you would be responsible for this. That way you're covered, right? So many times now, especially in this market, we're seeing more and more listings at 2.5%, 2.5%, 2.5%, right? So if you're putting these buyers under contract with the buyer's agency and you're putting on their 3%, you have the legal right to ask them for that other 0.5%. I don't do that. I know you guys don't do that, but you still should have that conversation just in case you approach a situation where they want to go see a FSBO and for sale by owner's not willing to pay a commission, because we don't want to work for free. And you can't tell that client that you're not going to show them the house because they're not willing to pay a commission. And it's much easier to have that conversation with them about them having to cover the commission then, if you've already set that expectation in the beginning by going over it on the buyer's agency. Right? If you're trying to talk about it for the first time, saying, hey, we can go see this, but they're not willing to pay a commission, so you're gonna have to pay it. And you've never had a conversation with them about that before, and they're gonna get a bad taste in their mouth, right? But if you've had that conversation with them at the very beginning when you went over the buyer's agency, and now you go back and say, hey, do you remember when we met the first time we talked about that if the seller does not pay a commission, that's the only time that you would be responsible for it? Great. Unfortunately, in this particular case, this for sale by an owner, the reason they're selling it by themselves is because they don't want to pay commission.
In
So
that case
this-
scenario, could you just say, all right, Mr. Buyer, offer them 6,000 more and then I'll ask the seller to pay me a
Yeah, I
commission?
was just about to ask that, because they'd have to pay cash. out of
Yeah,
pocket
exactly. It'd be
for
hard
it.
for them to pay it out of pocket, but if you
Right.
ask them just to offer X amount more on their mortgage and have the seller still pay us a commission, but the seller walks away.
Again, you're looking at it like seller help now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You would have to just go into it being comfortable that the house would appraise, because what if you shoot the price up to offset
Oh,
that
yeah, it
commission and it
offset,
doesn't
yeah,
appraise?
yeah, you're
You
right.
know, you're the way you're approaching it is similar to the same way you would approach seller help with a seller that doesn't want to pay seller help, right?
Yeah.
You shoot the purchase price up to help offset it, but you have to make sure that you're not going to run into problems on the appraisal.
I have some buyers that they actually went to an open house of a for sale buyer. And he called me up and said, he's not, the seller's not willing to pay a commission. Does this mean, based on our agency contracts, does this mean I have to pay you a commission?
So he addressed the elephant in the room.
Yeah, I said, yes, legally, you would have to pay me for that. I said, what did this, so we talked some more about the house. And I said, well, let me call the seller and talk to him, see directly. And 2 days later, they had it listed with a broker, but canceled the whole idea anyway.
Wow.
But he was agreeing, he said, what would I have to pay? I said, well, we can work something out. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Because he offered to give me some referrals. So I kind of left him slide a little bit. I wasn't going to take the full commission, but
That's what I would do.
trying to
All right,
maintain.
someone role play the objection role model on commissions.
Sure.
So let me ask you a question. Why are you selling your house yourself?
We think we can make a little more money if we sell it ourselves.
Great, you want to save on the commission, right?
Yeah, we do.
Great, now, why would a buyer look at it for sale by owner?
Because we've got a great house.
I understand that. And what else?
They probably think they're gonna save a little money too.
Right, so I was wondering how both of you could save on the commission.
We both half of the savings.
Okay, great. So you'd be satisfied with saving 3%? And if they negotiate a little better than you, you'll save 2%. Would that be okay with you?
I suppose it's still savings.
So you're doing all this work to save 2%.
Well, my neighbor did it. He said it wasn't that hard.
Okay, so how's it going so far?
It's a little harder than we thought.
Great. Well, it's just something to think about. I know you need to think about the money you're spending on advertising and things like that. What your savings gets down to 1%. You're saying you're going to do all this work to save 1% when you can hire a realtor to do all of it and take away the hassle. Is the hassle worth 1%?
Well, my home's listed at 400 grand, so yeah. Yeah, it is.
Okay. Now you notice every time, you notice every time there's any kind of disagreement between seller and buyer, the buyer or between seller and agent, the agent is not arguing with him, saying, great, and then asking another question. As soon as you start arguing or combating what they say, they're going to shut you down. Okay. There's some more strips in here. I'm not going to go over each and every one because I do want to get through this because I know some of you guys may have questions. Let's skip to page 46 at the bottom where it says follow up. It just says that it's 4 simple steps to follow up. Keeping all your leads in a central location that's organized and neat. Implementing the 8x8. Send the thank you notes for any referrals. And then follow up until they list or they sell. Be the last one still calling and the listing is yours. The graph that we looked at earlier shows you that after the first week, 50% of agents are going to stop calling that FSBO. And as you get into week 3 and 4, you're going to be one of the only ones still calling that FSBO if it has not listed or sold yet. Okay. Steps for working with expireds. Guys, this is going to be very similar to working with for sale by owners. The only difference is you got to take an extra step to figure out how to call these people. So these are people that have put their house on the market and either didn't sell or they decided to take it off the market. So again, when we're talking about what to do to prepare, how are we going to prepare to work with these?
Logo folder.
What?
Know what you're gonna say.
Yeah, know what you're gonna say. Prepare the materials. Like it's all the same as for sale by owners, right? Create the 8x8, set your goals, find them, check the do not call list, organize your information on each listing. Basically, what they're getting at is you don't just want to sit down and start dialing. Like go into that dialing session with purpose. Know who you're calling, know what you're gonna say, know what you're gonna talk about. And then make notes on what you're talking about. So when you do that follow-up, you know what the previous conversation was like, and it doesn't look like you don't remember what you talked about. Okay. Prepare materials to give them. So just like they talked about creating the FSBO packet, you can create an expired packet. The logo folder, cover sheet, facts about expired listings, your mission statement, introduction about you, getting to know your realtor, testimonials, business cards. This is going to give them a good sense of who you are, who you work for, what differentiates you from other agents, and what other people thought about working with you. I mean, this whole business is built off of reviews and testimonials. Why would you not want someone that you're trying to work with to know what other people are saying about you? All right, so this is your 8x8 schedule for working with expireds. It's going to be, again, pretty similar to how they outlined it in the session before this for sale by owners. Something to note here, guys, whether you take the direct or the indirect approach, what do you see? You're still making phone calls. You don't get away from the phone calls, whether you're doing a direct or an indirect approach. You still have to make those calls. Okay. The indirect approach just gives you a little bit more purpose for your call because you can call to confirm that they've received whatever you've given them, whether it be a postcard, whether it be an 8x8, whether it be a flyer. You can then call and say, hey, I'm calling to reach out to confirm that you received this. That's really the only difference. The direct approach, you're just gonna, like Diana Kokoska said in her, she says she calls first and calls often until she gets the listing. Okay. The only difference between the two is the indirect approach is you're doing a little bit more touches with your postcards, flyers, and then we're just calling to follow up to see if they received that and provide any additional value. Set your goals. Don't go into a dialing session without setting your goals. You have to have a target to aim for. If you do not have that target, you're gonna go into a blind, you're not gonna know what you're aiming for, okay? If you're not tracking it, it's not gonna get improved. How to find expires, you can pull them right off the MLS, but you're only gonna get you're only gonna get the address. You're not gonna get names and phone numbers. So you're gonna have to find a way to skip trace that. You can get a list of addresses that are expired right out of the MLS. You would have to use a third-party service to skip trace that if you're not using a dialer. Most of these dialers like RedX, Landvoice, Espresso Agent, they're gonna have a dialer in there that will skip trace for you and just load the data in there. But if you're not using one of those, then you're gonna need to get a skip trace. Fine. Check the do not call list. Again, we talked about that already with the for sale by owners. Organize your information, take action, okay? They've got some scripts in here for expires, very similar again to the for sale by owners. The only difference is these guys have already worked with an agent. They're already willing to work with an agent. They're already willing to pay a commission. So you don't have to overcome that. You just have to get the appointment and show your value. That's why earlier when I said for sale by owners and expires, they're both right now business. There's no other lead that you're gonna come in here and be able to find business today other than those leads. A for sale by owner is easy to get the appointment, challenging to close, and expired is challenging to get the appointment, easier to close. Okay. All right. They have scripts in the back of these. Again, I will tell you, these scripts are not scripts that I use, so I'm not familiar with them. We can go through them if you'd like. Let's go through one of them at least. Let's go through, let's see. Go through one script to set the appointment, and then, let's see, do they have an objection script in here? Yeah, we'll do setting the appointment script, and then we'll do an objection script, and then we'll move on. And so who wants to role play the setting appointment script alternate with me? The halfway down page 51.
50 what?
51. All right. Do you want to be the agent or do you want to be the seller?
I can be the agent.
All right, go ahead.
I am Gavin. I am a real estate agent with Keller Williams Realty, and I just wanted to ask, are you still interested in selling your home?
Yeah.
I'd like to give you a package of valuable information on selling your home because I assume you have one question on your mind, and that is, why hasn't my home sold yet? I think I can answer that for you in 15 to 20 minutes, but I need to see your house, and tour your house. When can I stop by? Would 3 or 5 work best?
Okay. So in this particular instance, that is a very direct approach, very short and sweet, and they're going right in for the appointment. Okay. Some of the other expired scripts that you may see may go into a little bit more of, where are you moving? Why are you moving there? Right? Figuring out their motivation. This script just went right into asking for the appointment, which is fine. Short and sweet is good because sometimes people are just in a hurry to get off the phone and they can appreciate that. If they fight you and they don't want to give you the appointment, then you may have to go into a little more of, asking questions to find motivation.
Now for like these types of houses for sale by owner, like if they're kind of like, I'd say like they need some renovation, they need some rehab, would you look primarily towards people that are first home buyers or would you look more towards wholesalers and flippers?
You just want to target the market. I mean, you don't want to tailor your advertising specific to one person or the other because the reality is you don't know who the buyer is for that house.
Right.
You might find an investor that wants it. You might find a first-time home buyer that is just okay with gaining a little bit of sweat equity. You may find someone who is just needs to do something with their money before the end of the year because it's tax season, you know, you never know who your buyer is going to be, but you never want to make an assumption and limit the amount of exposure you get
Right.
because of that.
Now, like in the description for the listing, would you make sure that said like fixer uppers? Because I know wholesalers kind of look for that in the listing. So like, I know you said don't look like strictly towards wholesalers, but like, would that be something that you could do to like? market
If the
the house a
condition
little
of the
bit?
house is bad, I mean, it's really a case by case basis. I mean, the description that you write up is gonna be, you want it to be an accurate description of the house, but you also don't want to taint any first impressions, right?
Pictures
While
don't
also
help.
not hiding anything, you know what I mean? It's really just a case by case basis. It depends on the property, you know?
I think that'd be more for like your personal sphere of people that you have. So like if you get the listing, you'll post it on the market. Everybody and their mother can see that. But then you personally, you might have some investors that you're like, oh, this would be great for John. I know this is exactly what John's looking for. Let me give him a call and talk to him about it before everybody else gets a chance to see it.
Right.
All right. Let's do one objection. We'll hit on follow-up, we'll put it all together, and then I'll answer any questions, or if you guys do want to go over the script that our team uses, we can go over that too. So let's jump on page 54 to the objection I'm relisting with my agent. Bob, can you help me out with this one?
Yep.
All right.
Just a quick question. I'm curious, what makes you think that your home will sell now when it's not sold in the past 6 months?
Okay, so they're giving you responses that are questions when they tell you that they're gonna relist with their agent. So you're gonna ask them that. What makes you think your home will sell now when it didn't sell in the past, right? The next question, why don't you increase your chance for success and interview a great agent like myself to make sure you're hiring the best real estate agent for the job of selling your home? And then the third one there is, wouldn't it be a good idea to get a second opinion as to why your house didn't sell and find out how you might be able to gain exposure to another whole set of buyers? Okay, so basically what they're doing here is the last one there that I just read, wouldn't it be a good idea to get a second opinion? Okay, so they're approaching I'm relisting with my agent with, would it hurt to get a second opinion? The second one there, why don't you increase your chances by interviewing a great agent like myself? That could work. That's not my favorite one, but that could work. And then the first one you said. You guys have any questions about any of that? I know I didn't go over all the scripts they have in the book. If you guys have one specifically you want me to touch on, we can. If not, we're gonna just move on. Anyone on Zoom?
I'm about to leave out for this appraisal.
Okay.
But I had a thought, just getting creative here, because I'm trying to think of buyers are struggling. How can I make it easier for buyers using FISBOs and expired? If I call an expired and they said, you know, our experience on the market was terrible, having all these people come through and having to keep the house perfectly clean, and I don't want to work with an agent anymore. Could you turn that into sort of like a pocket listing? Where you could say, look, Mr. Seller, we're not going to put you on the market. You're not going to go through the whole process. But I do work with buyers every day. And if I have a buyer that's really struggling to find a house and they love your house, could I bring them by for a showing?
Yeah, you could do that, but that's not a pocket listing. That's just you trying to find a buyer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Pocket listing is when you have a listing contract and they tell you not to put it on the MLS.
Yeah. But I mean, using that as just like something you understand,
Yeah.
pocket listing.
Yeah.
Where I know it's for sale, nobody else knows about it, but if I have a great buyer that's struggling, I can bring that buyer there. It's like an easy out. to get
Yeah,
that buyer.
I mean, we talked about that before too, because that's more like trying to find a pair of buyer to the property. So if you do pair the buyer, then you can leverage the buyer to try to get the listing.
Yeah.
Or if you try to pair the buyer and they're not interested, you've at least shown the initiative to try and help them sell the house instead of selling it for them. So in the event that they do decide to work with an agent later, they're gonna remember that,
Right.
you know?
Why would a seller not want their home on the MLS? Like, what's a case?
Sometimes they don't want people to know, like their neighbors to know their house is for sale or something. Maybe they're moving, they don't want people to know, you know? So they're trying to sell it kind of like under wraps.
You see it more with like higher price
Higher end
properties,
homes.
yeah.
Or another one, in some cases, when couples get divorced and they need to sell, it's a very embarrassing thing, so they don't want to put it on the open market, they just kind of want to sell it like under wraps, you know? A lot of times, when it's an instance like that, it's usually personal reasons, like they don't want their neighbors to know, they don't want their parents to know, or there's some reason the person doesn't want listed. All right.
Or if they're in a business where they do have a lot of different agents and they don't want someone getting jealous.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, they didn't list it through their cousin.
Like. This cousin.
all right, so putting it all together is basically an exercise where you want to call it a FISBO or expired listing. I'm not gonna make you guys do that. But it does walk you through the steps as far as where to find them, how to prepare for them, how to set your goal towards the end of this. But I'm going to wrap this up there, so I'm gonna leave some time for any questions. Anyone on Zoom, anyone in the class have questions?
I'd like to hear your script.
You want me- Okay,
I shouldn't have said
Just-
that.
yeah, okay, all right. Are you gonna role play it with me?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. All right, so we'll do it for sale by owner, you be the for sale by owner, I'll be the agent, I'm calling you, okay? Hi, I'm calling about 123 Main Street.
Yeah,
Is that property still for sale?
yes, it is. I'm the owner.
Oh, great, awesome, so, how long has it been on the market?
I've had it listed for about a month.
Oh my gosh, and it hasn't sold yet?
I've had some offers and had some people had some interest in it.
Okay, and what kind of feedback have you been getting?
There's some things that need some attention.
Okay.
They thought the price was fair.
Okay. Now, Bob, I'm curious, if I were to bring you a buyer, are you open to the idea of paying a buyer's commission?
As long as I get what I want out of the house.
Right, it has to make sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I'm curious, other than the commission, because you want to get the most money for your house, right? Right. Other than the commission, is there any other reason that you decided to sell it on your own?
Because of the market, I thought it would sell pretty quickly.
Right, yeah, no, the
Yeah.
market is strong. You absolutely can sell the house on your home. I'm not doubting that for a second. But I'm curious, do you think that selling your house on your own is giving you the exposure that you need?
It's giving me some exposure.
It's giving you some exposure, okay. So if there was a financial benefit to getting your home sold quicker for top dollar so that you would net more money in your pocket, even after commissions and fees were paid, that's something you'd at least want to hear about, right?
I would be interested in that, yes.
Great. I've got 3 o'clock and 5 o'clock available. What works better for you?
How about 5 o'clock?
Perfect. Okay, so let's walk through what I did there.
That
Okay.
was, yeah, you took it around to get it into my interest as far as what I'm interested in getting top dollar for the house.
Yes.
I've had
Because it's
some,
always about the money, right?
Yep,
It's
yep.
always about the money. If someone's not working with an agent and they're for sale by owner, why would anybody want to take on that amount of work for any other reason?
Mhm.
Right? They're either selling it to a friend or a family, which is a closed market FISBO, which we talked about, which there's no need for an agent. Or if they're on Zillow and you're calling them, that's not the case. So they want to sell because they want the most money. So I start off by telling, notice I didn't tell you that I was a realtor.
right.
They don't know the difference between a realtor and someone calling about the house. So you're open to having a conversation with me. Hey, I'm calling about 123 Main Street. Is it still for sale? Great. How long has it been for sale? So now I'm creating doubt in your head. How long has it been for sale? Oh my gosh, it's been on for a whole month. Why do you think it hasn't sold? What's the feedback that you're getting? Okay, it's been on the month. You've had people come and look at it. You've clearly had buyer's agents come to your house too, right? So now my next question is, are you open to paying a commission to an agent that brings you a buyer? More times than not, you're gonna get people that say yes because they know that they have to pay that commission, because when they list it on for sale by owner by Zillow, Zillow tells them that. Okay, so more times than not, you're gonna get them to say, okay, you got them halfway there. You've already got them saying they're willing to pay 3% or 2.5%, whatever, right? And that the house is still for sale and it hasn't sold yet, right? Now that I know, because I know your objection is money, right?
Mhm.
And if it's not money, I'm gonna ask for it right here by saying, Bob, besides the commission, right? Because that's the assumption. I'm making the assumption. I never asked you why you're selling it on your own. I'm assuming it's the commission. Besides the commission, Bob, is there any other reason that you decided to sell the house on your own? You're either gonna say no, and meaning that that is the only reason, or you're gonna say, like you said, well, the market is so strong, I could do it on my own. Right? But even though you say that, even though you say, well, the market is so strong, I want to do it on your own. Let's go one level deeper. Yes, the market is strong, Bob, and I'm sure that you can do it on your own, but why would you want to do it on your own?
To save the commission.
Exactly,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So it's always about the money.
Yeah.
Right? They can give you any objection in the world, but if you dig deep enough, it's going to eventually lead back to the money. So Bob, besides the commission, is there any other reason that you decided to sell the house on your own?
Not at this
Right,
point.
I've got the objection,
Yeah.
and I've isolated the objection. What that does is when I overcome that objection, you can't say, oh, yeah, but, and then give me another objection, right? I've isolated it. Now I overcome it. Well, Bob, if there was a financial benefit to getting your home sold for top dollar, so that you net more money, even after these commissions and fees are paid, that's something you'd at least want to hear about, right?
Absolutely.
I'm guiding the conversation where I want it to go. And I'm backing you in the corner because I'm asking the right questions and I'm isolating your objection. Okay? That's the script that we use. Now, of course, you may get some other dialogue in there. You may get some kickback, but remember, when we get kickback, if you say, you know what, Jeremy, I've sold a house on my own, I'm really not interested in working with an agent right now, You know, hey, Bob, that's great. Hey, by the way, when you do sell your house, where are you moving? Change the subject. Get them talking about something that's going to get them happy to talk about it, and then go back to asking for the listing. Questions? Anyone on the TV, questions? Okay.
Good deal.
That's all I got for you guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeremy. Great work.
Yeah.
He left. Remember, he has to go take the doorknobs off all the doors of that.
At the appraisal.
Take doorknobs. Oh,
Because technically, I guess, I don't know how much you know about the licensing, but I guess it's a different, if you have locks on interior doors, it's considered like a rooming house or something, and he doesn't want them to know that that's, I don't know. I'm
Oh
not
my.
really sure. Sounds like it's something that got himself into to be nice.
Where's this at?
I think like York City, maybe.
Oh, okay.
Don't
Uh,
quote me on any of that. I'm not sure. but Matt's very
Interesting.
helpful. He goes above and beyond for
Yeah.
people sometimes, but it's almost like, why are you doing this?
There was a property
done
that
here?
came for sale on Pennsylvania Avenue that was a boarding house.
Oh, Jeremy lives in
And
Pennsylvania.
it just, like, I saw it real quickly, had a client that was in.
Did it close?
As far as I know, yeah. And the adjoining house is apparently also licensed. That's not up for sale yet. The listing agent said it was, I think it was for,
Who's the listing?
I think it was through Berkshire.
Okay.
And they said eventually the other one's supposed to go up, but I was, he couldn't tell me why they didn't both go up at the same time, because they were both owned by the same person.
Oh, that's weird. I don't know.
But
I
it's one of
just-
the, I mean, I know there's a couple other rooming houses in York that,
Yeah, I just ratified something today and oh my gosh, dealing with the city to get, to get the licensing to have them operate as that is just a little tricky. So.
yeah. I mean, I have 3 places in York now that are licensed.
Oh, that
Not
you
rooming
have?
houses, but they're, yeah, they're
What do you
2
rent?
units.
You rent the rooms out?
There are 2 units. I rent.
Oh, it's
out,
just
yeah,
like a
yeah.
rental, like
yeah.
a. Did you buy them? When did you buy them? A couple years ago?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
you made out good.
yeah. They were, yeah, they're not issuing.
How are your tenants?
Well, one is a single family home,
Okay.
and
What
They-
district?
What's that?
What district in the city?
It's actually North Pershing Street, right off
Oh,
the
so
Parkway.
it's- they're all city.
Yeah, yeah. I bought it because of the garage. I wanted the garage, so I have the garage.
Oh, so you can go tinker with your,
Yeah,
well, you probably have a garage at your own house.
but not a real big one.
Where do you live about? like-
I actually live over on Tyree Street off of Roosevelt, Fireside.
Oh, you're
Yeah.
Jeremy's neighbor.
I saw him in the neighborhood.
Oh, he's right on the billboard at the end of your street.
Well, yeah, and I saw him scooting by on his scooter one day. I was like, it was one of those things like,
I mean, he
this,
always rides around.
wait a minute, this guy looks familiar.
And then you drive down the end of the road, there's that billboard.
Yeah,
there. That's
yeah.
funny.
So,
Oh my gosh, so the guy that bought this investment property, his very first house was in the Coyote District.
oh my,
That'd be funny if it was the same one.
okay.
It's a cute neighborhood. I like it over there, but they're a little sometimes.
Katie, you never met Rhonda? Rhonda is Katie. Katie, she was my productivity coach.
Oh, awesome. Nice to meet you. Yeah, right.
I just had to contain it.
Well, that's.
Better to reel him back.
Yeah. But yeah, so like the other night I went out to my car and there was these, well, something weed and like stuff like that. Get everywhere other than that. And then I asked him, do you think it'd be safe if I went jogging in one day around the park?
Yeah,
And he's
yeah.
like, he said, no.
There's, yeah,
What, would you recommend that?
not a,
Not even during the day, don't you think it'd be fun?
maybe a day it might be, it should be all right. Yeah, it's,
I took my kids there to play it one day,
Yeah.
and then I was like, there were bums warming themselves over in the.
over, yeah,
Just
in the
a
winter,
good idea.
yeah.
But yeah, I like it over there. It's close to everything.
Yeah, I have, my other two places are over on that snap.
Okay.
800 block.
So I'm trying to think of that is.
It's right at the corner, right at Carlisle. And that, if you're coming down Carlisle by the fairgrounds,
Okay, yeah.
you get that
So
first
we
stop.
can park
light.
at your,
Yeah.
park at your house for the fair. So I said to Jeremy, I'm like, can I park at your house and I go to the fair? That's funny.
Yeah, when I lived there, that was always I'd have to get the parking, Sticker.
Yeah.
park my car out in the street so people could, okay,
That's
here's the
funny.
list, here's street parking here, this, like that.
But you tend to find that your tenants are good, you know what I mean? Are they
I,
long-term?
oh, yeah,
Oh, good.
yeah, the tenants over Pershing. They've been there 10 years. I've owned it for 5, and they were there. before I
Oh, wow,
left.
so you bought it when it was occupied. That's the best way.
Yeah.
If they're. It makes me nervous. I want to get into like properties like that, but like finding that tenant sometimes, because you hear horror stories too. And do you
Yeah.
manage them?
Yeah,
No.
yeah, and I mean, I've heard the horror stories, and some of it is,
Just trashing the house, like that would be my biggest fear.
I mean, I knew the guys that own budget rentals.
Okay.
I mean, some of the places that they would,
Oh, my.
I mean, they have
Imagine.
from one extreme to the next.
Yeah.
But some of the things that they do, they essentially said, hey, it's a business, so if they're a month behind in the rent, they go in and make them an offer. You leave now, you leave in, 2 weeks, we won't charge you, we'll cancel the back rent, we won't file with the justice or anything, you get out by this date, we're good.
Prior to this, I worked at I was a paralegal for 7 years at a law firm, and we had, right at the height of COVID and like, well, after COVID, we had so many issues with getting people out. Like they would not leave, they didn't have to leave, like they weren't paying the rent, and we felt so bad for our clients. That like, cause a lot of them, they're retired, they live off their investment portfolio, and they just weren't getting money.
Yeah.
Like, it was, oh my. that was
Oh,
awful.
yeah, COVID and that whole moratorium.
Moratorium. And then they lifted it and still didn't want to leave, but I
Yeah.
think now it's back to normal for the
Yeah.
most part. But the judges really didn't want to do anything, so.
And the one, I belong to a real estate investment group, oh gosh, what is Kurt Blake?
Oh, I know that.
He's the attorney
Yeah.
that helps out with the group. Yeah. The lease that we use is one that he developed. He
Yeah.
trains all the district justices,
Mhm.
and he's like, yeah, good. You need to tell him.
Did he get married?
I don't know. I knew he was separated and divorced. I don't know if he
Yeah.
got remarried.
I don't know. I always see him at my church. I'm like, he looks so familiar. How did I know him? Like, oh. He's a nice guy.
Yeah, very, he's a real landlord. I mean, he owns properties himself, so he knows what's going on. And
Yeah.
this Airbnb thing is very interesting.
Oh my gosh, so Jeremy and I had a settlement, so we missed it, and I was so mad because I was like, it's like the only one I was really interested in, because that's, I think before doing, rentals, I think Airbnb is the way to go. Some people would disagree, but I don't know, my girlfriend has 2 of them in Harrisburg. And in a matter, I don't know the exact amount of time, I think she said like 4 months, the rents, the mortgage is like, it's just 4 years worth of her mortgage is covered.
Yeah.
And now she's in Harrisburg, so it's, a bigger area. And I don't know, we were talking about this morning, if it would be better to have, like a residential or like a vacation type.
This is the second presentation I've seen on Airbnb. The first one, this gentleman has a 6-unit up in Harrisburg.
That's what she has, she
Right on
has too,
the,
yeah,
like the river.
that's what she has. I
Okay,
wonder if she knows.
I wonder, oh, what's,
Yeah. But.
he said this area is tremendous. I mean,
What, even York though?
Any South Central Pennsylvania, he recommended. Because he said, and this guy was interesting, because he actually said, just getting started.
Mhm.
He recommended doing like multi-units. Live in one, and then do rent the rest out.
Right, yeah, that's what I hear more
Yeah.
doors and less.
I mean, it was interesting, this guy was looking more at, single
Mhm.
units in vacation areas or whatever.
Yeah, that's what, I don't know, I want to get a hold of his little presentation. So
Yeah. Now
I guess he's willing to work with people.
oh yeah,
and get
yeah,
them,
that's what I got the impression of.
Huh.
I mean,
Cool.
Lancaster.
Oh, Lancaster, I can see.
Yeah, what they're doing in Lancaster City, York is trying, but they're still.
York, I don't know. You get a lot of people, I guess, from the hospitals, and apparently, so the guy I used to work for, he's into hotels, he buys some hotels and whatnot. He told me there's a shortage of hotels in the York area.
Yeah.
And so maybe there is, I don't know, I've never really checked into it, but maybe it wouldn't be a bad idea to get an Airbnb.
Yeah.
I just think like, who the hell wants to stay in New York City for the weekend? Like, not me, and I've lived here my whole life, but maybe I'm missing something. But then again, it's so close to other,
Right.
metropolitan areas. So.
Well, and that's what this other guy was talking about. He said, because you're so close to Baltimore, Washington,
Yeah.
New York, Gettysburg, you're just so centrally located. And he actually was looking at, he did some longer term rentals,
Mhm.
like month, 2 months. You get somebody coming, like in Harrisburg.
Right,
You get somebody coming in for a
Doctors
job
or like, yeah. That's
Yeah.
what she said she gets sometimes. But then I'd be worried about, 'cause you don't really, I don't know, they destroy everything, but I guess you don't see.
This guy yesterday said he's had maybe a couple that he had to replace something, like they threw it. One
My
kid-
girlfriend calls me every day, she's like, someone ripped out the ring and they broke this, I'm like, well, she's extra, so
Yeah.
maybe that's why, but.
This other guy said he's
No
never
issues.
had any issues.
Huh.
Because it's a different clientele that
Right.
you're.
That
going to.
is very true. That's a good way to look at it. Are you maybe thinking
Oh,
about?
yeah,
Yeah.
I was actually looking at some down at
Here?
Myrtle Beach.
Where?
It's Myrtle Beach.
Oh,
I was-
I grew up my grandparents lived in Sunset Beach my whole life, so it's fairly close to Myrtle, but I
Okay,
love that area. Yeah.
Greg had a couple,
Oh, really?
and I was looking at some of the same ones that he had, and it's like, wow, essentially you're buying a hotel room
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
renting it out, and then in the summer, you had the weekly rentals or whatever.
Now, would you get a management company then to take?
Down
care of
there,
it?
yeah,
You would have
yeah.
to.
Yeah, and I had some
Connection.
some contact for some people down there. Greg had somebody that he was using. And I actually know somebody now that bought some down there. They essentially did
Yeah.
was it 1031 or 1051 exchange?
Oh, yeah, okay. Oh my gosh.
He got rid of his places here and bought them down there.
Huh.
And in the winter, they get longer term rentals, like, have nurses and
Yeah.
doctors coming in. Yeah.
Well, I could see too, I said, well, then that's a vacation spot you can go to
Yeah.
too, so I wouldn't be willing to
Yeah.
do that.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it was good talking with you.
Yeah,
I'm sure you hear
I'll kind of end
You're
this.
up enough, so.
Oh, okay.
Did you really? For $1,500? All right, so, got the job done. So we have to fill the decal. How does the character?
What he said.
I'm gonna go put the lockbox on Delta, I'll be back.
Alright, so I would have hit.
That's pretty nice. 170, they're gonna come back to us. How are you?
Yeah.
That's like literally. Sounds cool. I'm all about that. I wonder if,
this good for anything? No. She has different cheese. So not cheese. Not Arby's. I don't think that Arby's. Need information. Well, I don't think last sheet. You don't always want.